It was about 5 years ago when we figured out with my mom's Alzheimer's getting a little bit worse, and my dad taking care of her 24/7, taking her out for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner, that something had to change. So my sister and I worked it out and figured out, talking to them about, you need to go to independent living. And you went through something similar with your mom.
That's right. With my mom, it was probably been about 3 years ago that we'd been mentioning it for a while because she lived alone. And we thought, you know what, I think you'd really like to be able to have the interaction, especially, and this is a whole nother video, but she was not able to drive anymore. And so that definitely made it so much more difficult to be able to socialize as much. And I knew she would actually enjoy, she loves getting to play games. And so I knew that getting to go to an independent living would give her built-in people to do activities with.
Yeah.
But it can be really tough in that process. As far as, fortunately, both of our parents, they chose on their own, and so I think that made it a little bit, for the most part.
We helped a little bit.
Well, that's
along the
true.
way.
That's true. But it wasn't. They weren't pushed. They weren't fighting us completely.
Right. But we've got an old friend to help talk about this. It's Adrianna Iwasinski Holderman. We knew her a long time ago, and she was an intern at KView when we were working there. And now she's kind of gone through the same process because your mom with Alzheimer's, and now you left the news business, and now you're helping with seniors as well.
Absolutely. I mean, my mission in life has always been to help inform people and also just help people. And I did that in journalism for so many years as both just a general assignments reporter as well as an investigative reporter. And that's really served me well now in this role. And I transitioned based on a life experience. My mom getting diagnosed with Alzheimer's dementia. And my journey is more recent even than yours is. My mom probably got, she started forgetting things, and I always blamed it on parent brain for a while. But really, once COVID hit and the isolation that happened, my sister and I really saw a steep decline with my mom where, she was living by herself independently. She had for 15 years in Austin, Texas, and was driving and was working part-time at JCPenney's. I mean, she was very, functional and independent until COVID hit. And then as she stayed home and was isolated, her dementia really started taking a downward turn. So it was really concerning to us that we didn't want to leave her home alone anymore. And she had steps in her condominium. So we just had a lot of concern. And so that took us on the road of researching what options were out there. We looked at home health care. We looked at assisted living. I did it independently. Being a, investigative reporter, I started Googling and looking and researching and asking. And thankfully, I found a really great resource, which so many people could really benefit from. And it was this Senior Living Selections. And Andre Santamaria, who started this company, it's a free resource to families. And we come alongside to help folks as they're navigating all of these choices and learning, getting over the sticker shock, learning where some of the money actually goes and how it can be comparable with just independent living, and also finding things that could help your loved one financially. There's veterans benefits out there, especially if your loved one served during a time of war. If you're a widow of a veteran, there's benefits out there for you to assist in that. The very complicated and long road of Medicaid, which facilities do accept Medicaid, which ones don't accept Medicaid, and why. And even the process of getting onto Medicaid, it can be a lengthy one. It can take up to a year or more. And then even once you get kind of accepted in the realm, you're still going to hire an attorney. And a lot of people get sticker shock when they see some of those, bills start rolling in, and even an attorney to drop some papers for Medicaid, they're thousands of dollars.
And I think one of the hard things for people to understand is that sometimes you have to spend the money up front to save it later.
Yes, that's a very good point. And that's something people need to consider. For example, with Medicaid, if different attorneys charge different costs, but it can range anywhere from, on the low end, if you're lucky, $5,000 to get the paperwork submitted, up to $10,000. And the thought behind it is this: if your loved one ends up in skilled nursing, it can cost up to $8,000 to $10,000 a month for your loved one to get care in skilled nursing. And that's completely out of pocket. However, once you are approved for Medicaid and have that skilled nursing care, is covered 100%.
Mhm.
So even if you don't, but you have to qualify for it. I mean, there's definite things you have to look at. They're not just handing out Medicaid left and right to anybody. You have to have a certain income level. But what's surprising is I've learned you can still own a house and own a car and have money in an account, maybe not a checking account, but you could still be able to qualify for Medicaid because you don't have to become completely destitute to qualify for that. But that's where, you know, services like Senior Living Selections can help come alongside you and help you, you know, through this journey.
Because I think that's the hardest part, is that it's just so overwhelming because there are so many options, so many terms that it's just, sometimes you just don't even know where to start.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and you know, the best place to start is what you're doing with this Facebook group. Talk with people who have had experience.
Exactly.
Ask questions. Everyone who's been through this or is going through this wants to share what they've experienced because they want to know if they're doing the right thing, or B, you know, is there anything else I need to be considering? And all of us, I think, want to help each other.
Right. Yeah. And if you have, and if you do feel like, I think I figured it out, you want to be able to share that, because sometimes there's a lot of roads to be able to get to that point.
Well, it goes back to the navigation, but that's one of the hard parts, is that we all have different courses that we're taking, because you may talk to Kim's mom and she doesn't want to do this, but she wants to do that. Or my mom and dad, or, you know, my dad now is, my mom's in memory care, my dad's in independent living. So, you know, what do they want to do? Everyone is different. And that's the hardest part, that some people want to be at home. Some people want to go someplace, and talking to them and having that communication.
Well, and even having that communication, but sometimes, like you've mentioned, we have to be our parents' parent. We do. We have to show them the love and guidance that they showed us when we were little. Okay. Yeah. Because, for example, with my mom, her short-term memory was so bad that you could be talking to her about something and she'd forget about it 10 minutes later. Yeah. Long-term memory was great. She still knows who I am. She knows who my sister is, but it's all about emotional placement. I went through pictures with her yesterday when I went to go visit her in the assisted living facility. And I was like, okay, Mom, who's this? And, you know, me, she knows. My husband, she knows. My daughter, she knows. But my son, she forgot his name. So it's little things like that. And even just as I've read on some of these comments, and they've been so good and on point, when you have a loved one that's struggling with memory loss, you don't want to harp on the memory loss. I mean, it's already devastating enough for them when they do kind of realize what's happening. They're embarrassed by it. They're frustrated by it. They're sad by it. I've discovered the best thing to really do is enjoy and savor those moments you're having with them. And even if they ask you questions 10 times, just work with it, run with it, or say, you know, yeah, let's talk about that tomorrow. Or yeah, let's, you know, let's go into that a little bit more. Or, okay, I've already answered this question 10 times, but you know what? It's okay. It's the first time in this moment. Yeah. So just learning how to talk with your loved one. It's not about being right. It's about being kind.
Well, and I think then, you know, and to kind of wrap things up, it's really figuring out what's the right fit in your situation. And that's what's so difficult, whether it's how you're going to pay for things, where they want to live, how you want to care for them, all of that. The hard part is that there's not a complete just checklist of here, do this, 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 this. Right. It's going to be so dependent on their circumstance, their financial situation, your financial situation, and just how you want to care for them. And that's why it's so important, I think, to be able to find community and people that can help us through this process.
Absolutely. And community is key, I'm telling you. And having people who have some knowledge inside, you know, the way things are. I know when I first started navigating the world of finding a place for my mom, I got huge sticker shock, huge sticker shock. And most people will, because unbeknownst to many, most assisted living facilities are going to be ranging depending on the care level you need. You know, memory care is going to be more expensive. A smaller home with less people living in it and more 1 to 5 ratios, that's more expensive than maybe a bigger, fancier resort style assisted living facility. But you need to consider budget. You need to consider logistics. I wanted to be close to my mom, so I'm only 15 minutes away. You need to consider what's important to them. Is aesthetics important? Is, having a really social community important to them, or are they a more private person where they just want their room to be really, really nice? So lots of things to consider, and just to educate yourself on. Community fees. That was something new for me. And I'm like, what's a community fee? Why are they so expensive? And then there's places that have buy-ins. And so it's just educating yourself on it. And then I thought, no, I'm going to do home health care because I think that'll be better. Well, guess what? When I did the math and crunched the numbers, home health care was going to be more expensive than an assisted living facility.
Yeah.
And not only that, my mom wasn't going to be getting her socialization.
Right.
So you really need to see. But for some families, they're like, we want mom and dad to live in their home. There's a couple I've helped with home health care. They have a beautiful beach house on Siesta Key. They want to stay there till the day they pass. And they don't care how much money it's going to cost. They will have at-home care for their loved one, and they can afford it.
Yeah. Well, and I love that you've taken your experience and now that's what you do now. You left television news and actually are helping people to have these resources.
Yeah.
I get to advocate for other families the way I want someone to advocate for me. So that's truly why we do what we do. And that's what's exciting. It's a free resource to families. I mean, we come and help. We're more specialized here on the west coast of Florida. I live here in Sarasota, Florida, but we help people no matter what. I've gotten calls from Orlando, from Tampa, down in Miami. I've gotten calls from Great Britain for, sons and daughters that are overseas, but their parents are here in America and they want to, possibly move places. My sister and I compared, for example, Texas and Florida. What was going to be better logistics wise, price wise? For us, Florida was the better answer. Believe it or not, it was a little less expensive and you got more bang for your buck. And that's really because, think about it, everyone comes to retire in Florida, right? Everyone comes down here. And so they're building facilities literally left and right. And so there's competition. And so that kind of brings the price down here in the Florida area a little bit. And also the weather, you have warmer weather, longer periods of time.
Yeah. So many things to know.
Well, so if I can help anyone who's even considering it, I mean, even just answering questions, that's what I love to do. I love to help people. I don't care if, they live in Alaska or in Florida. If there's something I can help guide them with, that's what I want to do. I want to help educate people that you have state agencies that oversee these assisted living facilities. Check the records. I mean, that's where my investigative reporting has really, really helped out, because I can say, check the ACA ratings, which is the Agency for Healthcare Administration here in Florida. Look at those inspection reports. A good place is going to share those with you because they're proud when they get good ratings.
That's true.
And a place that maybe doesn't have good ratings may not say anything about it, but it's all public record.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Thank you so much. I'm going to put your contact information in the description so people can reach out if they have questions. Thank you so much. And I'm going to have you on again soon so we can talk about Alzheimer's moms, because it's a long road we're both going through right now.
It is. And thank you so much for creating this Facebook group. I think it's so important and so vital, and just thank you. It's going to be a great resource for a lot of people.
Well, we sure hope so.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. After talking to Adrianna, I feel like the thought that maybe writing a parenting aging parents for dummies just won't work because it's all different for everyone, and that's the hardest part. Is that my situation is different than your situation. Your mom compared to my mom and dad, and yours, everyone's is different, and that's the biggest thing, is that we have to be patient, knowledgeable, and just look into it, research it more about what our situation is and what's best for our parents.
And use the community to be able to see what other experiences have been, because we can glean from that, even though at the end of the day, we still have to make the best decisions for our situation and for our parents.
Exactly.
If you have other topics that you would like us to cover, be sure to let us know, and we'll see you inside the group.